Hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking time to watch my video. And if you saw the last video I did on the Epiphone Jerry Cantrell Les Paul Prophecy, you will know that my first one arrived with a broken headstock. So here's the replacement one. So let's open it up on camera and see if this one arrived safely or not. All right, let's check it out. All right, well, here we go, the moment of truth. Yeah, if you want to check out the other video, I'll put a link somewhere around here if I can figure out how. If not, I'll put a link down in the description. You can see the broken one that I received the first time. So let's open it up, see if it's all right. Out of tune, but it has arrived intact. Well, that's good. I didn't want to have to send another one back and have them ship another one out to me. So let's throw it on the workbench and take a closer look at this Epiphone Jerry Cantrell Les Paul Prophecy. All right, so taking a closer look at the guitar up on the workbench, I'll go over some of the specs that I kind of check when I get a guitar in, and basically checking the setup to see where things are at from the factory. It's a little bit high on the action. On the bass side, I would say that it was just about maybe 2.1 millimeters on the bass side. On the treble side, it was okay. It was probably about 1.6 millimeters, so that side is adequate, good enough. The relief, checked that. It was about 10 thousandths at the 6th fret, which is, maybe a thousandths too high, so that's in an acceptable range. Now, the first fret nut clearance, when you depress at the 3rd and then check that, that clearance was a little bit high on the bass side. It was about 0.10. Probably ideal would be 0.6. But on the treble side, it was right around 0.6. And what I think is happening with these nuts, like on this one, as well as the Wino Jerry Cantrell, is they're using a Graphtec nut, which I believe is pre-slotted. So that means that in the manufacturing process, they're taking an average measurement of these Graphtec nuts as they receive them in the factory, and making the slot, the depth of that, the tolerance to be in a range where the assembly tech can just drop this in without much or any, trying to get it without any modification. However, just by checking that, it's a little bit high, and what I would need to do is go in here and file this down about 4 thousandths. And for somebody who has nut files, that's not a big deal. You just go in there and sand it down, or you can use a length of string and put some sandpaper around it and sand it down a little bit. However, somebody who isn't skilled in any kind of guitar repair or doesn't have any tools, that's kind of a problem. You have to either take it to a luthier or a guitar setup person and have them do the work and then pay for it. At this price point, we're talking $1,100. I think they could have done a little bit better job and just taken the extra 5 or 10 minutes to check this nut height, and then with a nut file, just get it down to, a closer spec for electric guitars, which is around or 6/1000ths of a millimeter clearance. All right, so that was just the basic setup as from the factory. With the action height, that's pretty easy. All I'm going to have to do is just twist this down and lower that down. I mean, that's easy for anybody. You just loosen all the strings, lower this, by how much you want to lower it. If you want to lower it down to like 1.75, you're going to lower this about 0.5 millimeter, and then you'll get your 0.5 millimeter here in check. Still kind of same point as before. At this price point, you would expect them to try to get at least 2 millimeters and under. A lot of players like it under there. A lot of players expect it under there. All right, so let's take the strings off. Usually when I get a new guitar, I take all the strings off anyway because my fingers tend to destroy them very quickly when it's just nickel plated and I throw on a set of OptiWeb strings just because they don't rust under my fingers. And then we'll take a look on the inside of everything after I get this all, the strings off, and take it apart. All right, so now I got the fretboard all cleaned up. There's maybe a little bit of squeeze out around some of these frets. We might be able to zoom in there on these bottom ones. You might be able to see that right on the edge there. You see that little bit of white right about there. So I try to clean up as much of that as I could. I use the, what do you call it? Fender fingerboard remedy to clean up the fretboard a little bit. So this is a look inside of your truss rod cavity. And you can see the 5-ply binding on the headstock, the large diamond inlay, brushed silver tuners, locking tuners. Once I get this back together, we'll flip it over and look at the back as well. And here we are inside the front pickup cavity. Take a look at that. Go. And on the front, I think, what is it, 9-ply binding. It's a little sloppy there around the edge. See if that focuses in that corner. It was like that on the last one as well. Looks okay around here. Kind of a little, looks pretty cool from the side. You got the off-white binding against the white, all white. I'll get some measurements on the neck here in a second. And brushed nickel tone pots, volume pots. So on the volume, it is a coil tap, and then on this, on the tone, it's to switch between vintage and modern. I believe modern is down and vintage is up, but I'll have to double check on that. Look at the Fishman Fluence pickups. And then, what? Oh, it's checked as neck. First, I saw bridge first, and I thought that they put it in the wrong place. So you can see it's marked neck, and then this one's marked bridge. And then inside your bridge pickup cavity, number 10 or 01, depends on how you look at it, and some little mark down there. See where all the wires run through. All right, let me get this top put back together, and then we'll take a look at the back. Oh, let me get the measurements on the neck first. All right, so let's check this out. At the first fret, hope I'm getting this on camera. I can't see my I can't see my monitor. So that's about 22 millimeters at the first fret. And then let's go up here to the 12th. Oops. Close that. And about 24 millimeters at the 12th. So that's about like a 60s neck, I would say, like the 60s Les Paul standard, about the same thickness. I think the 50s is a little bit, I think 50s start at like 24 at the first fret. Get these pickups in here before I pick it up. Take a look at that profile. Yeah, so I'd say it's like a 60s slim taper. It's not really fat. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is a fat neck. Not a lot of a heel. So, oops. All right, let me get these pickups back in, then we'll take a look at the back. Oops. All right, well, I forgot to show you the tailpiece and the bridge. So the bridge, got this Epiphone bridge, and then oops, I can get it back on there. And then what's nice about the tailpiece, it has these little clips in there to help it stay on here when you do string changes. So when you put it on here, it just stays by itself without having to worry about it falling down the guitar and making a bunch of marks. All right, so I got the back plate cover off. You can see we have our little compartment for the batteries for our active pickups. And then there's a look inside of the electronics pickup cavity. You got some markings on here like a W and a W. Looks like we got some kind of quick connect down there. It's not all quick connect for sure. So that's a look inside your cavity. See some of the capacitors down there. And then that's a look inside the three-way toggle switch cavity. And then here's a close-up of the locking tuners and the JJ on the back of the headstock. Back of the neck, the heel joint. So one of the main difference between this and the standard Epiphone Prophecies is obviously it doesn't have the comfort cuts here and here. So it's kind of a blend between the modern Prophecies and a traditional Les Paul. And look at your neck joint there. And it also comes with a heavy duty actual metal jack plate, so that's nice. All right, so overall, not bad. Like I said, the setup could be better. Maybe some of these details could be better on the binding here. It's a little bit, you know, some more sloppy work there. But overall, not a bad looking instrument. Obviously, it also comes with that Jerry Cantrell case. So let's get this thing put back together, plug it in, and we'll make some sounds and see what it sounds like. All right, so that should give you an idea of what the guitar sounds like in a mix with some pretty heavy distortion. I was using my Blues Junior amp. This is through an Shure SM57 with my Metal Zone pedal. For the lead sound, it was also the Dispatch Master by Earthquaker Devices, and I was using a noise suppressor. Obviously, with that much gain, you need to use a noise suppressor to keep the feedback. So this will be just through the Blues Junior with the volume all the way up, and the fat button gauge, basically all the drive you can get out of this amp. Then I'll turn on the Metal Zone just to give you an idea. So this is our bridge pickup in the modern sound. So and then if you want the vintage sound, you just pull the tone knob, and that gives you the vintage sound from the bridge pickup. All right, and then the coil split, either one of those tones, you pull out the volume knob. So this is back on the modern, and this will give you a coil splitting sound. So if I want to kind of get some of the dirt away, I just turned down my volume a little bit. All right, so I'll put in the middle position with the both on the modern tones. So in the middle position, this is where you can really get a lot of tones because you can coil split and switch between the modern and vintage on all four at once. So you can get a lot of different tone combinations that way. I'll just go through the basic ones though. So here's the middle position with both pickups modern. And then let's do it with both on the vintage. All right, then our neck pickup. And the more vintage sound. Cool, so that gives you an idea of what it sounds like, you know, on some pretty moderate settings. Make sure my noise suppressor's on, so let's give you some metal sounds. All right, so I hope you liked this review of the non-broken headstock Epiphone Prophecy Jerry Cantrell version. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. If there's something I didn't cover and you want to ask, just put it down there and I'll try to answer. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And also a thank you to my first 100 subscribers that I hit today. I really appreciate you liking and subscribing to my videos and watching. And I'll see you in the next video. And until next time, take care.